Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. In this video, we will be talking about final, finally and finalize, and also we will be discussing about the combinations of the try catch block as well as the finally block. So talking about the first discussion we will have about is final, finally and finalize. So let us begin talking about the final. So we have already discussed about final and we understood that final is nothing but a keyword which is used in different aspects. So this keyword can be used with a variable. Okay, so when we are using it with a variable, the value of the variable becomes constant. So value of the variable becomes constant. So talking about a constant value, let us check how it is been done. So if we are having a particular instance variable, let's say int x is equal to 50. So if we want to keep the value of x as 50 itself and no modification is allowed, then we simply have to introduce the final keyword in front of this particular declaration. So under these circumstances, x plus plus, or let's say x is equal to x plus 10. So these kind of statements, they do not work. Okay, and the value of x will become 50 throughout the entire program. The next possible area in which the final keyword can be used are the methods. So we have also discussed about this in my previous videos, so you can go back and look into that. However, in here also we will have a brief discussion about this, that whenever we are using final with any method, it will not allow that particular method to get overridden or not allow overriding. So that means, let us consider that if suppose if we have a class, let's say class x, and within that class x, let us have one method which is void display, and we have a method body. So in a different class, let's say class y, here also I have the same method which is void display, and here also I have written some piece of code. So, and supposingly I am trying to extend x, that means y is trying to extend x. That means this is a concept of inheritance or is a type of relationship. So under all the circumstances where the method name is same, the parameter list is same, as well as they exist in two different classes and there is an inheritance concept associated with it, so we call this entire process to be a method overriding concept, and this particular method can override the method which is there in the parent class. However, if I do not want the parent class method to be overridden, I have to simply use the keyword which is final in front of this method. So whenever I am using final in front of this method declaration, essentially this method will not be able to, or the second method will not be able to override the first method. So the final method cannot be overridden. And the third possible aspect in which we can use the final keyword is the class. So if we are using class, or if we are having a class, let's take the previous example itself. So if we go back to this, so suppose I have class x and this is the scenario. Now what is happening here is basically, so what is happening here, I will write this particular point here so that we do not miss out on any of it. So methods, and the third is we can use this is in classes. So in class, if we are using, it will not allow inheritance. Now which means that in my example that we have already seen for the method. So class X is basically extended by class Y. That means class Y is inheriting the properties of class X. Now if I do not want class X to be inherited by class Y, then what I have to do, I simply have to introduce the final keyword in front of class declaration. So whenever I am doing this, this particular process will not be possible. Okay, so not possible, as I have introduced final keyword in front of that class. So the class will now no longer be overridden. So these are the three different aspects where we can use the final keyword and how they basically impact. The next point that we will be discussing is the finally keyword, or the finally. Sorry. So when we are talking about finally essentially, if we are talking about only finally, then this is a keyword, no doubt. But when it is used in a program, we have seen that finally is used in a along with a couple of statements within it. So basically this becomes a block, where the block is responsible for holding different statements, and it is used with only try block, with either a try block or a let's say, or a try catch block. We can write it here as try block or a try catch block. So these are the two ways in which we can use the finally keyword. So when we are talking about this try catch block, the syntax remains like this, that if we are using try, so here we will have the risky code, and if we are using finally here, so this will get executed no matter what. So if we are using finally here, we will mention the cleanup code here. So cleanup code, as already mentioned in my last video, it deals with all types of resource closure, file closure, etc., or database connection closure statements. So those things we can write inside the finally block. Okay, similarly, if we are using it against the try catch block, so here we will write the risky code, or the code which might throw the exception, and we will have the catch block where we will be writing the exception class followed by a reference variable, and here we will have the exception handling code. Always remember that we do not actually remove the exception, we simply use um, alternative ways in which it could be handled. Okay, and after this try catch, we can simply use the finally block where we will be using the cleanup code, right? So this is what finally actually holds, or finally actually stands for, and how final is different from finally. The last method, or the last word that we will be discussing, keyword that we will be discussing, is the finalize. So finalize basically is a method. So this method we will be discussing more in our future videos in details, but as of now just let us remember that it is a method, and this method is for any object. So for any object, this finalize method can be overridden. This method can be overridden, right? And we have the following syntax for this. The syntax is protected void finalize, and then followed by throws throwable. So this throws an exception. We will talk about throws keyword in my next video. Throws throwable, and finally we will be writing here the cleanup code. So This cleanup code basically pertains to that object which is about to get destroyed. Okay, this finalize method executes prior to, so this is basically executed prior to garbage collection. Okay, prior to garbage collection. That means whenever an object sorry, not college, it's collection. So whenever we are trying to uh, whenever we are trying to destroy a particular object, we have to also close down the various resources that that object might be occupying. So all those resource closure codes can be written inside the finalize method, and we also have to understand that this particular finalize method can be overridden for any object. So these, and we will also talk about this finalize method deeply in my subsequent videos, but as of now we have to understand that these are the differences between finally, as well as the finalize keywords or um, blocks and methods. So finalize is the method, finally is the block, and final is basically the keyword. And we also have to understand that within this particular method and finally block, we generally use the cleanup code in order to close down any resources that the object or that particular method might be occupying. So moving ahead to the next topic of discussion, that means the various combinations. So we will talk about different combinations in which we can use the try catch block and the try catch and finally block. So first of all we have to understand that if we are writing something like this, okay, only try or only catch or only finally, okay, so all these scenarios are not possible, and they will not give us any they will not be compiling itself. Okay, it does not compile, so it does not compile, so it will give us a compilation error or a compile time error. Now whenever we are talking about try catch block, okay, here you can also mention the exception E. So this is the right way of writing. So if we are considering that we are writing something like this, try, and then we are following it using the catch block, which is exception class, followed by a reference variable, and then followed by the exception handling code. So is this scenario possible? Yes, this scenario is very much possible, and this is how the try catch block should be written. However, we have to understand that if we want to add another catch block here, then also it is possible, but we have to make sure that the first exception class that we have discussed or declared here should not be of the parent of all exceptions. That means it cannot be exception. If we are writing here as exception, and then let us write here as arithmetic exception, sorry, yes, exception, and then E. So this will give us a compile time error. Why? Because I have, in my first statement, I have used exception, which is the parent of all exceptions. So if I'm using this, then this particular catch block is not needed, because all the exceptions will be handled using this parent class. So these kind of exceptions will not be required at all, and hence it will throw us an error. However, if we are writing just the opposite of this, that means if we are using arithmetic exception here, okay, so arithmetic exception E here, and here I am writing as exception E. So if I'm writing something like this, now under this scenario, this catch block would be working fine, and we can execute this, or we will not get any error. However, instead of having exception, we can also have other exception classes like file, not found exception. So file not found exception. So likewise we can go on having multiple catch blocks using a single try block or single try and catch try block. So with one try block we can have multiple catch blocks, right? And now if I'm trying to write something like this, okay, let's say try nested try catch block. So within try we will be using some more try, and then I will have a catch block here. Okay, so I will write here as exception e, and then I will close this. I have to make sure that this try block should also be having a catch block within. If I do not write the catch block here, that means it will give me an error. Either catch block or the finally block, it will give me an error, right? So if we are having one try block, we have to have a catch block or a finally block along with it so that it does not throw us any error. Now it is also possible that within the catch block I can again have a try and catch block, so that kind of facility is also possible. So within try also I can have a try catch block, within catch block also I can have a try catch block. So it is entirely up to us how we would like to use it. Okay, now talking about the next important thing is that how do we use finally. Okay, so if we are trying to use finally, so let me use a try block here. So if I'm using a try block, so essentially I can use finally right after the try block. Okay, but in this scenario, if I want to use catch block after finally block, so this kind of scenario is not possible. So because immediately after try finally will be executed, and after finally that catch will not be capable of handling any exception. So if we want to write catch, either we have to move catch in place of finally and write finally below catch, or we do not have to mention catch at all. So under this scenario also the code will work fine without the exception being handled. Okay, so if there is no exception, it will give you a proper execution also. But if there is an exception, that exception will not be handled and the program will be abnormally terminated. Okay, so the right way to use the try catch block and finally is that we will use a try and then we will use a catch along with the exception class name and reference variable, and we will use the finally after the catch is written. Okay, so likewise you can also try out different combinations using finally inside catch or using finally inside try. Just try it out whether it will work or not. Okay, now suppose there is another interesting scenario which exists here, is if I'm using a try block here, and let's say I have printed some things, system.out.println, and let's say I am printing here as hello right after the try block. Now if I want to write here the catch block, this will throw me an error because right after the try block this statement would be printed, and between the try and catch block there is another statement. That means there is this particular statement which is being executed, which is not the right syntax for the try catch block. Okay, so these are some of the various combinations which will give in which we can use the try catch and finally block together. We always have to remember that try essentially should be followed or must be followed with the catch block so that our program runs in a smooth manner and also terminates in a smooth manner. However, finally we can introduce if we have any such resource allocation codes in our program, and if we want to terminate those connections and those resources or close those connections and resources, we can use this finally block as well. But definitely if we are using finally block, we have to make sure that we simply do not use it after try. We also use first handle the exception which might be there, and then introduce finally. Also within the finally we will be able to use the try catch block. So try catch can be introduced in any block and it can be executed in any manner you feel like. However, we have to understand that it should be incorporated in the correct sequence. So in today's video we talked about final, finally and finalize, as well as we also saw about the different combinations in which the try catch block works as well as finally works together. We will talk about throws and throwable in my next video. So thank you.